What if things were meant to be challenging for you? I want to unpack this because right now, if you're dealing with some challenges in your life and your business, I want to give you some perspective on this that hopefully will help you out. Welcome to another episode of #Winning. Yuri, Elkaim, your CEO and founder of Healthpreneur. We help health professionals and coaches build transformational coaching businesses without the grind. And part of building a great business and honestly doing anything meaningful in life is going through hardship. If you look at the kind of the Buddhist philosophy, for them, life equals suffering, right? I don't necessarily think that life needs to be full of suffering, but it's not void of suffering. Like, here's the thing, is like water is wet, fire is hot, and life is full of uncertainty and challenges. Like expecting a life that has any degree of meaning or impact, expecting for that to be easy is like jumping into a pool expecting not to get wet. And I want to help you really like reframe how you look at struggle and challenges here, because if you're building your business and it's not taking off yet, or maybe you're at a point now where you're like, oh my God, like what am I doing? Like this thing keeps happening. Like I want to let you know that maybe it was meant to be challenging. I lost my hair when I was 17 years old. A lot of people are like, oh my God, it must have been so hard. I'm like, it was the best fucking thing that ever happened for me because it put me on this amazing journey, which I'm on now. So everything, and the reason why I love working with health professionals is because pretty much all of us have had something happen, quote unquote, to us, but over time, hopefully reframe it as for us. And it's like this health issue that you wanted to figure out for yourself or for someone close to you, and then you wanted to share that with other people. It's amazing, right? And so if that's the case, then how can we not look at challenges as anything other than gifts? There's a saying that says, that goes like, smooth seas don't make a skilled sailor, which is true, right? I remember I was on a flight many years ago, flying across Canada. We're at this one part in the journey, and the plane is like all over the place, like falling out of the sky, it felt like at some points. And I'm a private pilot, like I have my pilot's license. I'm cool with flying, like I understand the aerodynamics and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's all good. Unless the wings fall off, we're okay. But even I was like, holy shit, like, you know? And then the first officer comes on, he's like, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the bumps, right? He kind of downplays it. Like he's not freaking out like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? He's like, no, guys, I apologize for the bumps. I know it's uncomfortable, but here's the good news, is your captain has seen way worse than this. He's a former Snowbirds, which is kind of like Canada's version of the Blue Angels, right? F-18 fighter pilots. And he's seen way worse than this. And like, he basically downplayed the whole issue. But where I'm going with this is like, if that captain had only flown in smooth skies, as soon as there was a little bit of turbulence, he would have freaked out. But, you know, here's someone who's like a former fighter pilot who's seen all sorts of stuff, who's done like, he's like, oh, this is no problem. So don't wish for it to be easier. Wish for you to get better, as Jim Rohn, I believe, or Brian Tracy, one of the two, once said. Life, we are here, we are spiritual beings inside a human carcass having a human experience. This is one of the many experiences we'll have over our spiritual journey if you're into that stuff. And if you're not, you know, whatever, it's fine. But why are we here? Why did we incarnate into this physical being? Well, because life, like on earth here, this world, is a beautiful opportunity for us to grow and learn and move through some of our spiritual lessons. So you are going to deal with things in your journey where maybe you have a health issue, right? Maybe you have financial issues. Maybe you have relationship issues. Maybe you have stuff around self-worth. All of these things trigger you at some level. And they are all blessings because they are all here for you. They're literally like gifts along the way that will keep showing up until you receive the gift. That's one way of looking at a challenge, as opposed to saying, oh, why is this happening? Why is this happening? This is so hard. It's like, no, dude, it's a gift. Pick up the box, please. Just pick it up. You're like, no, I don't want the box. I'm going to keep going. And then the box falls again in front of you. You're like, oh, fuck this box. Get it out of my way. And then you keep going. Like a day later, it's like, God damn it, this box again. It's like, why don't you just open the box, receive the lesson, the learning, the gift, and guess what's going to happen after that? The box doesn't fall in front of you anymore. You kind of, it's like a video game, right? You get to level 1, you beat level 1, you move to level 2. I was just talking with a client yesterday who had the unfortunate event of having one of her videos go viral. So she amassed 13,000 new followers on Instagram in the space of 2 weeks. And from, just trying to get some traction to now like my calendar is slammed with DM conversations and sales calls. Like, what do I do? Like, well, number one, celebrate that, because a couple of weeks ago, we were like hoping for this, right? And so like, as they've said, like, be careful what you wish for, because very often that'll come true. So it doesn't matter where you are. It's like, like not having money sucks. It's hard. There are challenges, right? And then obviously as you grow and do things to amass wealth, there are challenges in that process. The saying, more money, more problems, could be true, right? More taxes, more people, more liabilities, more stuff to think about. But who cares? Again, it's not about things getting easier. It's about you getting better. Do you think that you might be able to better handle more money in the future? Like if you become the person who's able to do that? Probably. But here's the kicker, is that right now you can only receive what you're capable of handling. So if I have this mason jar of water and it's about half full right now, I can only fill this up with the amount of water this mason jar can handle. Get it? But Yuri, I want a gallon of water. But dude, you can only handle what's able to fit into the mason jar. No, I get that, but I want a gallon of water. I'm like, do you speak English? You can only handle what you can handle in this jar. I get that, but I want more. I'm like, okay, so you have to become more. How do I become more? Well, maybe you figure out how to increase the size of this jar. How do I do this? Okay, cool. Well, let's figure out a way here. If I'm in the jar and I'm trying to expand the jar, what am I going to do? I'm going to keep hitting the edges. And the edges are known as the pain line, also known as your comfort zone. But Yuri, I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want it to be challenging. I want it to be easy. Great. Well, then don't ask for any more water than you currently have, because you're not going to get it. No, but I really want it. No, you don't. You want the prize. You're not willing to pay the price. That's the reality. No, but I'm really committed to this. Okay, cool. Then you have to be committed to hitting your head up against the pain line every single day. And as you do this, you will expand the size of your mason jar in this case, or the size of you, your vessel, your receptiveness to allow more to come into your life. And that receptiveness is going to be, for us, a lot of the subconscious programming that we've all had since, since we're born. But this is the work. And so when I say like maybe it was meant to be challenging, that's the reality. It's like you signed a spiritual contract that you're probably not even aware of, neither am I, that when we came into this life form, we said, cool, all right, so here's the shit that I'm willing to go through over the next 100 plus years. And spiritually, maybe our higher selves understand that, but in human form, we're like, why is this happening? Right? And it's because your higher self knows what's best for you. And your higher self is like, cool, we're here to learn, to grow, to experience this so that we can spiritually evolve and get closer to the higher version of ourselves. And then we can move on to the next thing. Okay. So in the grand scheme of things, guys, if you're ever like, oh my God, like this is the end of the world. No, it's not. Your problems are so insignificant. My problems are so insignificant. And if you want reconfirmation of that, just look at other people's stories that have gone through way worse. And if that's not enough, then take out or even go on Google Maps and just continue zooming out, okay? So go to Google Maps, right? And this is actually a really fun exercise. Zoom in on your house, okay? Like, there I am. I'm worrying about paying the bills. I'm worrying about this. Like, my Facebook ads aren't working. No one's liking my social posts, blah. Okay, cool. Awesome. Then zoom out so you see your city, and then zoom out so you see your province or state, then zoom out so you see your country, then the world, then keep zooming out until you see the world as a speck of dust on the screen. And that's how meaningful all of this shit is. Now, it doesn't mean that it's worth what we're doing, right? But in the grand scheme of things, we're all going to be dust. In the next 20, 50, 100 years, we're all dead, right? So we might as well make the most of it instead of freaking out all the time. So like, take on these challenges with a certain degree of grace. Like, I don't care if the IRS is chasing you down for taxes. Who cares? It's all good. I'll take care of it. It's all good. What can I learn? How can I get better? What can I grow through here, right? And this is the thing is like, and I had to learn this the hard way because I tried to resist so much of this for so long because I didn't know this stuff when I was building my first business. And the longer I've been in business, the more I realized, very much like I spoke about with my nutrition stuff, it's the stuff that we can't see that is infinitely more powerful than the stuff that we can see. So the metrics and all that stuff are important, yes, but your energy and how you show up is everything. Everything is energy. Energy is everything. It's one of the quotes I had from my all-day energy diet. So energetically, if you are in a state of freak out and low vibration most of the time, you're not going to be attracting people, situations, circumstances, and things into your life that are going to be any different from that. And if you don't like what you see in your life, then number one, maybe start appreciating it, because appreciation needs to increase in value. So for instance, if you don't like, what it is you're seeing, cool. Like, it doesn't mean you can't change. You 100% can. You should be disappointed with whatever's not happy or whatever you're not satisfied with. But it starts by showing appreciation for the journey. Appreciate where you are and understand where you are right now. This is a big one, is exactly where you are supposed to be right here on this specific day at this specific time. There's no other possibility than what you're experiencing right now in this timeline, in this universe of the many multiverses. Because if it were supposed to be any different, it would be, but it's not. Therefore, it wasn't meant to be. It's exactly what it's supposed to be right now. So if you're going through a dip, if you're in the valley of despair, or if you're on a high, you are exactly where you are supposed to be right now, and there is no other alternative other than that. So appreciate that. Surrender to that. And it doesn't, when I say surrender, I don't mean give up hope. Don't become hopeless. It's like you have to detach from the outcome, but be fully engaged in things that you have control over. Like if I don't like the weather, I have no control over the weather. So why don't I just release that? What do I have control over? Well, let's look at a couple options. One is I could go on a vacation. If the weather in general sucks, I could move to a different country. I could, if it's raining all the time, get an LED light, like one of those, sunlight type of lights, which I actually did way back in the day when I was waking up at before crack of dawn. So these are things that we can control, but we're not going to control the weather. The other way we can look at this is we can just change the perception that we have, the meaning we give to the weather. And it's so interesting because so much of the small talk, whether it's with people in general, a beautiful day today, every day is a beautiful day. And I catch myself doing this too. If it's a beautiful, warm, sunny day, I'm like, I love this. This is beautiful. When it's rainy and windy, I'm like, fuck, I'm not a huge fan of that. But again, that's my perception, right? If I can give a different meaning to it, it's like, oh God, I love this rain. It's so good for just a bit of a reprieve, or it's so good for the plants and all, whatever. Your life is a reflection of the meanings you give to the circumstances in your life. So, tactically in your business, if you're getting a lot of people giving you no's on sales calls, okay, cool. Awesome. What am I learning from this? How can I learn? How can I grow? What mistake am I making that I can avoid making in the future? As opposed to, they're not the right types of people. This doesn't work. I'm not by pointing the finger outside of you, you never learn and you can't grow. And what's going to happen is the more you do that, is the more you keep dealing with the same shit. This is why, guys, I keep coming back to this. Everything in this world, everything in your life is about responsibility. It's about 100% responsibility. The sooner you take ownership of the fact that your feelings are 100% under your control, the sooner you will feel free. The more your happiness is dependent upon outside circumstances, the more you will suffer, right? So if you feel happy when someone pays you money and you feel shit when you go through a couple of days where there's no sales, you are still a victim. You are a victim of outside circumstance. If your happiness and self-worth is dependent upon what other people see you as, all these beautiful women on Instagram posing, whatever. But I promise you this, if a bunch of people said you're ugly and fat, that would fuck that person up big time, because their body image is their self-worth. Just like with a lot of guys, and I'm using these as generalities, just like a lot of guys use success and status as their self-worth. Right? And we all play this game. We all do. I mean, I do. Everyone does, right? But you have to be able to detach your self-worth from what other people think of you, right? Because as long as other people have any degree of opinion that matters to you, you are always at the mercy of things outside of you. So if someone compliments you, you take that in with a certain grain of salt. But if someone criticizes you, that has more weight, really? Or if someone compliments you or criticizes you, my advice to you is you're cool, it doesn't matter to me. right? Like I totally appreciate all the positive comments in the comment section under these videos. Like, this is amazing. The content's so good. I don't know how you don't have more subscribers. I'm like, I see these comments and I completely appreciate them, guys. And the reality is, like, they make no difference to my work. I know when I put something out there that I know is my truth and it's good. And I also know that when I put stuff out there that's like less than good, I don't need someone to tell me that video was shit. And if someone does, I'm like, I don't give a shit. You can say whatever you want, right? I've dealt with so much criticism, and that's one of the beautiful things about being a business owner online is you get so much shit, so many stones thrown at you that you develop this amazing force field. So whether somebody compliments me or criticizes me, it doesn't affect me. Like, I swear to God, I'm serious about this. You can call me names. You can belittle me. You could say you look like an alien who's going through cancer from a different planet. Or you could be like, you're the best looking guy I've ever seen in my life. Either way, it doesn't matter to me, right? Like, either like the positive or the negative doesn't affect me. Now, remember, there was a time in my life where that was different. I painted on fake eyebrows for 2 years when I lost my hair the second time when I was 30 because I gave a shit what people thought about me. And it's exhausting. And I was always a victim because I was always at the mercy of outside circumstances and outside opinions. So when I say maybe it was meant to be challenging, it's supposed to be challenging. I'm not against setting intention for ease and flow. If you've seen my videos, you know I'm all about this, right? Vibrate high, set a good intention, visualize what you want. But remember that part of that journey is like, it's not necessarily just straight. Like, there's, some up and downs and some potholes, and you have to be okay with that. And you have to look forward to it because it's about who you become in the process. It's not the end destination. You're going to get to the end. You're like, now what? It's done. It's like who you have become to get to the trophy. That's what matters. It's not about the trophy. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you will relish these types of opportunities. I call them opportunities, not challenges, right? Because all of it is meant for you. It's happening for you. It's meant to help you grow. It's meant to help you become stronger. It's meant to help you see your own stuff. Like, there are mirrors that are reflecting back at you to be like, work on this, dude. Work on this. Why is this bothering me? Why is this triggering me? And instead of trying to tuck it under the rug and avoiding it, which it'll simply come back up over and over again, it's, what do I need to learn? Why does this keep coming up? Right? What am I still not getting? And the more you just keep pointing the fingers back at yourself, the sooner you will achieve the success that you want. And the sooner you will feel free. And the sooner you'll just feel like, this is who I'm meant to be. And so, yeah, I do believe that challenges are part of life. And we are meant to go through this because, especially for us healers, right? The most amazing healers are the ones who've been able to turn their mess into their message. Right? I lost my hair and it was the best that ever happened to me. I know a friend who was half her face was paralyzed, and that, she was a former model, could have been the end of the world, but that propelled her into doing some really big things. I just saw an interview with a German soccer player. I didn't even know this happened. He had his leg amputated. I thought it happened in a war or something. No, a goalkeeper crashed into him and shattered his leg to a point where he had to have his leg amputated. That's ridiculous. But it allowed him to, as he processed that, to move into something bigger. Julio Iglesias. I was telling my son this last night. Julio Iglesias, right? One of the most famous singers in Spanish history. He was a former soccer player for Real Madrid in the 60s. And then he got injured. So Real Madrid, the best team ever, okay? His goal was very much like myself, right? I wanted to play pro soccer. I did that. And then it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And then I just moved on. But for him, he got injured playing with Real Madrid, and that allowed him that space to then pursue singing. And can you imagine going from that to becoming one of the most iconic singers of all time in Spain? You would think, okay, this is the end of my life. If I can't play soccer or whatever. No, it was just the beginning. So maybe it's not the end. Maybe it's just the beginning. Your mind is the most powerful magnet on this planet. I want to share a couple stories with you in this video to help illustrate this point and remind you of the power of your mind.